Hey, what's up? It's another episode of Watch You Strap In. These are not, I repeat, not watch reviews. They're just quick wristwatch check of the day with a strap of choice. Usually something different that I haven't done before, just to show the pairing and give maybe some people some ideas of what certain watches will look like with certain straps. Maybe some ideas just in straps in general of what to get for themselves. Just very informal and just for fun. And so, anyways, what I got on today is the Sinn 103 Klassik 12. This is a 60th anniversary limited edition. I think they sold out like in a day or two. Limited to 600, and feel very fortunate to have been able to get one of these. And I'm not regretting it at all. It's really nice watch. Just love the finishing, and they did make something like this several years ago, but I think the main difference, improvement over that one was, I don't know if that was a limited edition or not. It might have been, but um the bezel on this is ceramic. I think this is the first, a couple of firsts. That and it's got a nice 12-hour bezel, 12 click, bi-directional. It's got a really nice action to it, and the applied indexes on the dial, they usually are just printed on 103s and even 104s, right? They don't usually do this. So that's a nice addition just to give that extra uh, level of detail, and it's just kind of, it really does stand out really nicely against the light or shadows, I guess, depending on how you have it angled. That coupled with like the fine polished frames around the subdials, you can see, as well as the nice polished syringe hands and everything else. Okay, back to the strap option. This is the Haveston Sabre, I believe. um, yeah, it's just a single pass. It's from their Service Series line, and it's a good strap. I love Haveston. They do like really cool straps, and I'm glad they've gone pretty much for a single pass for most of their stuff, except for, I believe, the Parade line is still double pass, but those are really nice, and they're not too thick either, and very good quality, and I think they're fairly priced. And I like this one because of the gray uh, toned with the black and yellow accents. Um, it's a nice color combination. I don't know. I like this combination of colors, and for a pilot's watch, it kind of makes sense, especially a German one. I think of these colors. I think of actually like the World War II ME 109's Messerschmitts that the German Luftwaffe used to have back in the World War II. They're pretty famous with they have a grayish kind of camo for most of the fuselage, but the nose of the planes are often painted like this bright yellow, and it's pretty unmistakable. And so I figure I put something of that theme and feel for me with a German pilot watch, and there we go. And it's monochromatic, so black and white, silver, and pretty much goes anything. So even though there's not really any gray, there is black obviously, but there's no yellow. You can pretty much go with any accent color in this. And the other thing I wanted to do was, I was reluctant to put this watch on a NATO style. Uh, I definitely would not do it on a double pass, but single, even I was reluctant because the thickness of this watch is not insignificant. It is 17 millimeters. I mean, automatic chronograph, but this does have like 200 meters of water resistance. It's also vacuum pressure tested, and the robust nature of the Sinn watches. And plus, there is this domed sapphire crystal, and there is a domed sapphire crystal back for the case back. So that's where a lot of that is. So if you minus those, I think that's almost 4 millimeters. It's actually about 13 from case height, and plus the way the case is divided, curves and sits onto the wrist, it actually is not as thick wearing as you'd think. That being said, because of the curved nature of the crystal on the back, in the overall general thickness of the watch, just having even a single pass underneath such a watch I was anticipating not going to be the best thing. This is best on one of the bracelet option that I have, or some sort of two-piece strap, either leather or also nylon or canvas or something like that. Could also work pretty well. I generally wanted to avoid putting any extra layer between the case and my wrist, right? Because it's high enough. But I had time today, and I figured, what the heck? Why don't I confirm, or possibly uh, throw out the theory or idea in my head that it could not work on even a single pass NATO, and this is a single pass, and of course it will inevitably raise it slightly more above wrist. You can try to get in there, and this side of my wrist is a little bit more slimmer or tapered, or whatever you want to call it, so it can have a slightly more gap on this side of my wrist, but for the most part on this side it's not actually that bad. And I gotta adjust the wrist on watch, the watch on my wrist for a second here. I think it's a little bit off center the way I have it. Hang on. Okay, that's about right, I guess. So let me back up. Yeah, this will have wrist presence for sure, but to be honest, it's not crazy. And like any watch, either if you're used to something a bit larger and you go for something small like a 38 or 36, it may take some time for your eyes and brain to adjust to how such watches of scale and size that normally probably wouldn't wear will actually look and feel on wrists. And when you give it some time, it actually all kind of balances out, I think, unless it's really, really too small or really, really too big. That's almost comical, which is possible. But for most average wrist size, like let's say 6 3/4 to maybe 7 1/4 or 7 1/2, I would say it's kind of normal range. Let's give it a little wider berth, 6 1/2 to 7 1/2. You could potentially get away with something smaller or larger than you're used to. Just depends on the case size and the lug to lug and the shape. There's a lot of factors, as some of you might know. So don't automatically discriminate or rule out anything that you think on paper or even visually you think from images you've seen online or videos may not work on you. Ultimately, it comes down to just getting and trying it. If you're inclined to take that chance or risk, of course, sometimes once you put it on risk, a lot of times, depending on what kind of watch you get, you may not be able to return it if you go too far in terms of sizing and trying to figure out this, how it fits on your wrist. But or if you can, maybe your friend has something that you're interested in or similar, give you an idea of what to expect, and it might actually work out better than you think. Anyways, so this is how it is. This is really an exercise to show off how this would wear on a single pass NATO, and actually it's not too bad. I think I can definitely live with it and use it from time to time. I still prefer the bracelet or a two-piece just because it would just be that much closer to the wrist. But I mean, overall, my wrist is actually just under 7 inches, my left wrist, and so my right's definitely larger because I'm right-handed. So I always think about switching hands to try to fit out a watch better on wrist, with a larger wrist. But it just feels too awkward, and I'm more likely to bang up the watch more on the wrist and hand that I don't normally put it on, because I'm more practiced in keeping it safe from scratches or stuff I'm more aware of, versus the other hand, which I don't usually have a watch on. And it just simply feels weird because I don't normally keep a watch on my right wrist. So what do you think? I think it works. In terms of a single pass needle on such a watch, it's not be the perfect fit, but overall, I think the look is passable and better than I thought it would be. I'm willing to give it a try again. Because this is 20 millimeters, So I got a ton of straps that I could do that will work. And the other thing I was worried about too is because NATO straps, they don't have that thickness that a two-piece or a bracelet obviously would have. Um, NATO's, the way they work by their nature is it's going to be a bit thinner. And so I was worried that such a substantial watch with, thin strap option might look kind of awkward, like it's not balanced, or it looks too thin. The material might look too thin for a somewhat hefty watch. But I mean, these Haveston straps are pretty well made. They're not the thinnest. Also, I think they do have a decent amount of thickness for a NATO strap. It's good weave and everything. And so, even though, there is, it's just, I don't think it's as bad as I was thinking it could be. If you get a really cheap one that's pretty thin, that will probably look not the part, and a lot worse, because it would be too thin for such a watch like of the scale, I think. But something with a little bit more substance, such as these Haveston straps, something else that might be along these lines, or maybe even a tab taker, would probably be fine. Because you want to match the the right build and heft of a strap to the watch case itself. Move around too much. All right. Anyways, that's it. Thanks for watching, and hope you had a good long weekend if you celebrate President's Day in the United States, or even if you don't. Hope you had a good day. All right, later.